So guys, if you watched the first video I just put out, I'm putting the second one out, how to buy these things cheap. So, like I said, and kind of in the first video, I found this on Facebook Marketplace, and I'm not saying that's even the best spot to even find these things cheap, because I'm going to tell you the other place I found it. So, finding these things pretty cheap on Facebook Marketplace, you can find them, no doubt. You know, I think a lot of people on Facebook Marketplace put them on, like, for instance, you know, they put trailer for sale, but then they don't tell you that, oh, the sled's actually with it, you know, and that's how what happened to this one. The trailer was for sale, and I noticed that the sled was on it, and I even messaged him just about the trailer, and I was like, how much you want for the trailer? I negotiated with him, and literally he said, well, the trailer I want, you know, I think it was like $500 for it, and I was like, there's no way, because it needs a new deck, new plywood, it looked like. So then I offered him $300 for it, and then he was, you know, debating on if he wanted to take this sled off the trailer. So he kept on negotiating prices. So, well, if I don't take the sled off, would you take this for it? Would you take this for it? And I was like, no, $300 all day long. So then I waited a couple days, and he messaged me back and said $300 for the trailer. So I got what I wanted for the trailer. I got the sled for free because he just didn't want to take it off. And pretty much not a very old guy. He was a younger guy, probably in his like 20s, 22. I don't think he knew what to do with it. So at that point, I got it, fixed it up. But I think where I found really good deals, not as on just Facebook Marketplace, I think you can find some really good deals under wrong descriptions on Facebook Marketplace. You know, people put it under like, use automotive parts or whatever, and it's like on there. It's kind of weird. But what I think you can really find good deals is, you know, Craigslist is a big thing. But word of mouth is a huge thing, and also just driving around. You know, if you live in a small city or live in you know, the country, get out a little bit, you know, drive out. You can find these on literally the road for like nothing. I mean, some of them you can literally find for nothing. Just you taking a drive, they're not posted on Facebook Marketplace, they're not posted on Craigslist. It's these old people, or it's these people that just don't know what to do with them. They're buried in a field. They're stuck. They pull them out. They're like, hey, let's put it at the end of the road. That's where I found this sled, another sled just like this. And it wasn't an XCR, but it was an Indy with that hood, the nose cone, and pretty much had the same engine that's in this right now. So definitely on the side of the road, word of mouth, Facebook, Craigslist, all those ads like normal. You can find those pretty cheap. I wouldn't say this is the cheapest one I've ever bought, but this is definitely one that's cheaper. This is I paid $650 for this. Like I said in a couple other videos, it was pretty much rusted out. Put a lot of money into it to get it working, but I have probably about $1,200 into it, not including probably the track I'm gonna try and put in the spring on it. So, I mean, yeah, but I've had this since I was 16. I'm 20, it's gonna be 26 here, so, I mean, that paid for itself, you know. I mean, this thing's starting to pay for itself. You take this on little rides and trips, and you pretty much don't owe anything on it, and you just keep putting money into it. But yeah, if you guys are literally looking for sleds cheap, I would definitely, word of mouth is like, you know, telling, hey, you know, your friends, your buddies, you know, hey, you know, I'm looking for a sled, or, you know, I want this, or I'm looking for, you know, something bigger than a 500. I don't know if I want Skidoo or Polaris or Arctic Cat or Yamaha. You know, they're all good sleds. They all have their bad twerks. Like, this Skidoo, way too freaking low to the ground. I mean, you pretty much have to, if you're going to go hit a jump, I feel like, or you're going to hit a snowbank, you have to hit it going a little bit faster. It's so low to the ground, it literally slides all the way up the freaking mound or whatever you're doing. This, you can almost putz up there. It's like just putzing. It's so much higher off the ground. It's got a better stance. It goes. They all got their twerks. They all got their problems. And no matter what sled you get, if it's, you know, I wouldn't go get something super old, suspension's really bad on them, but anything I would say probably in the 92s and above, I wouldn't hesitate if this is your first sled, or if you're just trying to, you know, to get into this, get something into the 90s and above. I mean, those are even old sleds at this point. So 2000s, you probably can get a 2000 sled easily, Skidoo, Polaris, Yamaha, anything, I mean, very cheaply. So, not very hard and not very expensive. But definitely do some research, tell your friends, That I feel like is the biggest thing. Like I said, a lot of these parts that I bought for the Polaris and the Skidoo, and even vintage sleds I carry, you know, some 87 Scandic and some other stuff. You honestly, I found more parts by just saying, hey, do you know a guy that does this? Or do you know a guy that does that? You know, do you know if a guy has a suspension? Do you know if a guy has a whole chassis sitting around? That's where you find that stuff. And you might even find a whole sled. Because like I said, on this Polaris, I found a whole nother sled that was a 92 Indy on the side of the road for 75 bucks. And yeah, I didn't run and stuff, but the hood is worth 75 bucks. The track is worth over 75 bucks. The seat that was on it was worth over 75 bucks. The skis, the arms, I mean, I could have parted that thing out and made, you know, at least a few $100. You know, even if I sold the stuff cheaply. So, stuff like that, definitely look for. And just be careful if you're actually out there looking around. There's a lot of weird ass people. And sometimes you get taken advantage of that way too. But, like I said, that's how you find these. And they're not new, they're not something great, but if you're just trying to get into it, and you're just trying to, you know, start into the, like, hey, I want to get into this, I want to start driving, this is the way to go. This is the way to start it. Because once you ride one of these, you get a brand new one, you're going to understand, like, holy cow, the difference, the power difference, and everything. I wish I could afford something brand new. I can't. I can get these for a dime a dozen, cheap. You blow them up, you get another engine. That's what's nice about these, but that's about it, guys. So, you know, you can do that with pretty much everything. You know, I mean, if you really just look hard enough, you can, or even a word of mouth. You know, I bought this little Yamaha Bayou for 500 bucks. Might make a video on that too. I mean, it runs awesome. You know, I didn't have to do one thing to it, and the seat's not ripped. It's all original. You know, it all looks good too. 500 bucks. You know, all this was a word of mouth. You know, telling your buddy, telling your friend, and oh, then his grandpa, oh yeah, I got a four-wheeler, you know, 500 bucks. I couldn't pass on it. It's all original. There's nothing even wrong with it, you know. So, and I got a lot of stuff around here, junk and everything else, but really can't go wrong with, you know, spending a couple $100. Get yourself into a riding sled for 500 bucks. You know, might be still some problems here and there when you drive it, but who cares, you know? All it is to get out there and ride. You know, that's what the main part is, you know. But thanks for watching, guys. I hope that kind of helps you guys. Maybe try to find a sled cheap and, you know, go from there. Like I said, don't even have to find sleds cheap. You can find parts cheap that way too. I've done it. I've seen it. So, like I said, I got about 1,200 bucks in that one, and I probably only got about maybe $400 into that one. And I would say the only reason I got about $400 in that one, even with the replacement order, the hood, and the seat. I had to buy a new seat cover, and that was over 100 bucks itself. I bought the engine cheaper than I bought that seat cover. That's pretty ridiculous. But that's what word of mouth does. You can find things cheaper if you just patiently look, patiently take your time with it, and you'll find it. So, guys, with that, I'm going to leave you off with that, and like I said, I'll try to open my comments, so if you guys have any questions or anything, or we'll go from there. So, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.